everybody, and welcome to the Beyond the Cage YouTube channel for our first ever monthly rankings right here on YouTube. I am Jim Graham, your host, and I will take you through the 8 divisions in mixed martial arts to give you our top 10 from Beyond the Cage. Starting first with the flyweight division. Starting at number 10 is Chris Carazao. At number 9 is Daryl Montague. At number 8, John Moraga. At number 7, Luis Gadanol. And dropping from number 4, 2 spots down to number 6, Jussier Formiga, also known as Jussier da Silva. At number 5, Yoshihiro Urshitani. At number 4, John Donson moves up 2 spots from number 6 after his victory over da Silva. At number 3 is Uncle Creepy Ian McCall. At number 2, dropping 1 spot, is Joseph Benavidez because he lost to the man at number 1 who became the first UFC flyweight champion a couple weeks ago, and that's Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson. Moving on to bantamweight, at number 10 is Scott Jorgensen. At number 9, Eduardo Dantes. At number 8, Mike Easton. At number 7, Eddie Wineland. At number 6, Brian Bowles. To the top 5 with Brad Pickett. At number 4, Michael McDonald. 3, the California Kid, Uriah Faber. Still at number 2, the current UFC Bantamweight Champion, Dominic Cruz. And at number 1, the interim Bantamweight Champion of the UFC, Renan Barão. To the featherweight division, moving up to number 10 from the contenders list with his 3rd consecutive knockout victory, and that's Cub Swanson. Moving up a spot from 10 to 9 is Dustin Poirier. Also moving up a spot from 9 to 8 is Diego Nunes. At number 7, Dennis Siver, he moves up a spot. And at number 6, left unchanged, the Korean zombie, Chang Sung Jung. In the top 5, Hatsi Hioki stays there at 5. 4 is Pat Curran, Bellator's featherweight champion. Number 3 is Ricardo Lamas. Chad Money Mendez at 2. And the unanimous number 1 at featherweight, the UFC featherweight champion, Jose Aldo. Eric Koch is the only guy that is not on this list from our last rankings, and he moves out of the top 10, formerly at number 7, due to injury as well as inactivity, and he does not have any fights scheduled within the rest of the year. Moving on to lightweight. At number 10 is Eddie Alvarez. Number 9 is Donald Cerrone. Number 8 is Anthony Showtime Pettis. Even though he said he was dropping down to featherweight until he officially fights at that weight class, Clay Guida will stay at number 7. Jim Miller is at number 6. To the top 5, Nate Diaz. At number 4, Gilbert Melendez. Gray Maynard is number 3. Much like Clay Guida, until he officially fights at 145, he will stay right where he is at, and that's Frankie the Answer Edgar will stay at number 2, and at number 1 is the UFC lightweight champion, Ben Henderson. To welterweight, at number 10, Ben Askren. At number 9 is Nate the Great Marquardt, Strikeforce's welterweight champion. At number 8 is Josh Koscheck. Jake Ellenberg will stay where he's at right now despite a victory over Jay Haran just a couple of days ago. At number 6 is John Fitch. To the top 5, Martin Kampmann checks in at number 5. Johnny Hendricks is at 4. Nick Diaz, despite the inactivity, we're going to leave him at number 3 for right now. At number 2 is Carlos Condit, and at number 1 is the UFC champion, George Rush St. Pierre. At 185 pounds, making their first appearance in our top 10 is Ronaldo Jacare Souza, Strikeforce middleweight contender. He moves up from the contenders to take the place of Brian Stann, who drops out of the top 10 in this month's rankings. Moving up a spot from 10 is Yushin Okami, and also moving up a spot from 9 is Luke Rockhold, Strikeforce middleweight champion. Staying at number 7 is Mark Munoz. At number 6 is Vitor Belfort. Despite his loss to John Jones, doesn't affect his middleweight standings, at least in our rankings. To the top 5, Tim Boesch is there. At number 4, despite his victory, can't put him ahead of Chael Sonnen right now, so Bisping will stay at 4. And speaking of Chael Sonnen, will not drop out of this rankings until he officially fights at 205 pounds, which should come in a couple weeks when he takes on Forrest Griffin. At number 2 is Chris Weidman, and at number 1 is Anderson Silva. In the light heavyweight division, despite his injury that forced him out of his fight at UFC 153, Quinton Rampage Jackson stays in at number 10. At number 9 is Antonio Rogério Nogueira, better known as Little Nog. He checks in at number 9. Ryan Bader is at number 8. The Swedish sensation Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson is at number 7. Phil Davis checks in at number 6. Former UFC light heavyweight champion Lyoto the Dragon Machida is at 5. Another former champion is at 4, and that's Shogun Rua. Once again, another former champion is at 3. That's Sugar Rashad Evans. At number 2 is Dan Henderson, and he defended his title once again, and that would be the unanimous number 1 choice, the UFC light heavyweight champion John Bones Jones. To the big boys at heavyweight, checking in at number 10, Stefan Struve making his first appearance in our rankings as he takes the place of Travis Brown, who lost against Antonio Bigfoot Silva. So Brown moves out of the top 10. Struve moves up to number 10, and he is on a roll right now, winning 4 straight fights. Russo stays at number 9. Despite the victory over Brown, we're leaving Bigfoot Silva right where he's been at, and that's number 8 on our list. Josh Barnett and Frank Mir stay where they have been, as Barnett's at 7 and Mir's at 6. The top 5 heavyweights look like this: Daniel Cormier at 5, Fabricio Verdum at number 4, Alistair Overeem at number 3, Cain Velasquez at number 2, and the UFC heavyweight champion Junior Dos Santos checks in at number 1. And these have been our monthly world rankings right here on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Beyond the Cage Podcast. Please subscribe and look for our podcast every Wednesday afternoon on VigilanteMMA.com or MMAforlife.ca. I'm Jim Graham, and thanks for listening to Beyond the Cage.